Hello, everyone. I'm Nicholas Glenn, and this is another episode of the Ohio VolleyTalk podcast. We have entered the final four of this boys volleyball season, and today I'm joined by Coach Larry Meehan. Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The first thing I wanted to cover was probably the big one, the 3-0 sweep of defending state champions, St. Ignatius, who is a team you guys lost to 3-1 earlier in the season. What kind of allowed you guys to not only beat them in the tournament, but sweep them?
Well, first off, it was a very odd situation in that one of their top players, Jack Reagan, did not end up playing I'm not sure the exact reason, but it was some school administrative issue. We had prepared for him, or perhaps without him, because we had heard something about that. And it was a very odd preparation, like I said. It's hard to know how to emotionally invest yourself in that kind of situation. We had played them very well the first time out. We lost 3-1, but the two sets we lost, or two of the sets we lost by 2 points. We beat them in a set. I thought we were very competitive, and we were fully prepared to play them at whatever strength they had. So it was something we were all looking forward to. That said, without Jack, they played extremely well. I had seen them play against Stowe, I believe it was the Tuesday prior, and both teams looked a little bit flat. They didn't seem really up for it at that point, but against us, they came out very strong. Um, I thought it was some of the better play that I had seen Gavin, the right side, have all year. He's been very good, but he was exceptionally good against us. We played a very tough second set that I believe went 30-28. We eventually won. And the third set then I think was a little more anticlimactic. I think a lot of emotional energy gets poured into those kind of sets, and we kind of took it home from there. But our guys played great. And like I said, I thought that Ignatius rallied, played super, doing a lot of small things that I hadn't seen him do previously. So a lot of credit to them. But our guys really got it done, and very happy for them, and looking forward to what's next.
Yeah, so obviously having a guy like Jack Ragan not play, that's obviously huge for you guys, but it could also be a challenge to kind of work around that because there haven't really been many, if any, games this season where Ignatius has played without them. So you don't really know how they play without Jack Ragan. So like how do you kind of get around that and like still like when the news came out that he wasn't playing, like how do you still get your players mentally prepared and have them not be a little too confident that their best player's out? Like how do you kind of settle them down and still have them ready for a challenge that maybe they haven't seen before?
Well, I think it was very difficult because we did not know for sure that Jack was not going to play. We didn't know that right up until game time. So I thought that was very difficult because I think we're very comfortable playing the part of the underdog, and we were geared for that. And going into that, then I think that we would probably be a slight favorite, and that's a whole different dynamic. But we went out and played extremely well. We executed. We did the things that we typically do, and even bumped it up a little bit from there. So I was very pleased with the result because, you know, young people, everybody's still learning how to guide their way through life. And when things change, it makes you feel different emotionally, intellectually, and then, of course, how you execute physically as a player. So I thought we did an extremely good job, given the circumstances.
Yeah, now shifting to what's to come Friday, Final Four game against Olentangy Berlin, another team who you played earlier this year and lost to 3-1. How do you kind of view that game and like how do you get your players like mentally prepared with the pressure and also playing another very tough team?
Well, I think Berlin is an excellent squad. We actually played them twice. We lost twice, and we played them in a tournament earlier in the year. I believe it was at Pickerington Central. Um, but both times, and when we played them at Mount Vernon, we lost 3-1. Again, I felt we were very competitive. We were close, and I think that we are mentally prepared to play them. I think that they do a lot of things very well. They have a very diverse attack. They have really good size. They're excellent defenders. But we do a number of those things too. And so I think that perhaps we can rise to that occasion. Sort of what we were talking about previously. There's a lot of pressure going into this kind of situation at Wittenberg. It's a whole new place, a big space, the Final Four. But at the same time, we are probably the underdog here. And I think that that allows you maybe a little bit more ease in the sense of playing a little bit looser. And I hope that's where we get to. I hope we will play loose because I think when we're in that position, we become very successful. So that's what we're working towards. We've watched some of the video again, reviewed when we've played them. And again, it's a very strong team with a diverse attack. So it's not like you can just gang up in one area or another. You have to play a complete game.
Yeah, and you kind of just covered it, talking about the underdog mentality and just how you guys have like a little bit more freedom to kind of play your style. Like how just like with the pressure and everything, how is that how does like having an underdog mentality kind of give you an advantage against uh, a team like Berlin going into this
I don't
final?
know if it's an advantage per se. I think that it is an opportunity, if I can split that hair for you. It's not so much that that allows, I don't think they'll take us for granted. I think they'll come out and play very strong. But I think it allows us, for instance, I will say that when we played St. Ed's in the semifinal, I think our guys were really tight. And St. Ed's is a really strong team, but I think they felt like they were the favorites there. So I think they came out very tight, and it took us a while to get going. I don't think that'll be the case here. So I guess that would be the small advantage, perhaps, that we'll have. We're a very strong serve receive and very strong defensive team. And I think when we make a few of those exciting and unexpected plays. That helps shift some momentum. So that's what we're still looking for. And obviously, we have to execute on offense, and we have players that can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I love how you mentioned the defense because I was a defensive specialist myself, so that I've got a special place in my heart for those defensive guys. But
Amen. There you go.
yeah, but like shifting more to like just the season in general, not just the tournament. What have been your guys' like keys to success? Like, what has allowed you to be so successful up to this point?
I think we have a very strong team mentality. And I understand perhaps that's a cliche for some. It's not for us. I mean, we're all in this together, and we play with a fairly tight group. Typically, we're playing, 7, 8 guys, but we've had some injuries, we've had some issues, and we had people step in, and it was somewhat seamless. We did very well when we had those occasions occur. But I bring it all back to the defensive part. Team is so important in that concept because everybody has a job to do. And if everybody is doing that job, if everybody can push themselves a little bit further, you're just making more plays, you're creating more opportunities. And I think we've done that very effectively all year. I'm not a huge stat person. I'm not somebody who tracks all the stats all the time. But this year, of note, we had 6 players with 100 plus digs. And that I think is rather unique. We have a middle who has been a former libero who we transitioned to middle this year. He plays all the way around, so he's playing in the back row too. But we have a bunch of guys who get after it. We try not to let many balls hit the ground. We need to keep it going. So that's sort of our calling card and what's made us go most of the year.
Yeah, I'm now kind of curious about the libero turned middle. Like, what kind of allowed that to happen? Because those are kind of polar opposite positions. Like, did you guys just need a middle and he was the guy for the job, or what was
Yeah,
like,
that's
how did that
Fisher's
come to
mo.
be?
He's one of our captains, and Fisher's a basketball player too. So he's not a year-round volleyball player, but he's an extremely good athlete. I believe as a sophomore, he played libero for us, and I think he was among the top 1, 2, 3 team or players in digs in the state as a sophomore. So he's obviously a fine defender, fine libero. But he's grown. He's now like 6'2" when he used to be 5'9". And we did need a middle. And it took him probably until the last 2 or 3 weeks to start feeling comfortable offensively. He's a fine blocker. He gets up, does a great job there, but offensively, it's really come on in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But he is very willing to do whatever we needed. And in this case, this is what we needed. And he still plays through the back row, and it's a huge impact for us when he is in the back row.
Yeah, you mentioned he was one of the captains on this team. How have the seniors and the captains and just the leaders in general kind of helped the younger guys get settled into the faster pace of the varsity level? And how has their leadership allowed you guys to be as successful as you are?
Oh, like I said, I think that we actually have four captains. We have two seniors and two juniors, all of which have played now for a few years together. Those guys have been great because, like I said, that whole team concept, I think we manifest that all the time. So we have some players who, don't get to play all the time in big games, but I still think they feel as part of the team and invested because we need them in practice and we need them to step in some odd situations, and they seem to be prepared. And I give credit to our captains who are also Owen Stearns, who was first team All Region for the North this year, and our setter Jackson Battaglia, and our right side James Hummel. Those last two are juniors. Those guys have done a great job of keeping the team together and having that sort of seamless mentality.
Yeah, now kind of going back towards the tournament, obviously we talked about before how there's a lot of pressure that comes with playing at Wittenberg, playing in the state Final Four. Just what is like your message to your team specifically about how to kind of relieve that pressure and not just let it get to their heads because it is very high stakes and the most important games you'll play all year.
Oh, that's tough. You know that. It's difficult to have words for that. But I guess what I would ascribe to it is they've done exceptionally well all year long, and they should be proud of that. For those seniors, it's just time to let it go. It's time just to go play because this will not be the most important moment in their lives. I hope it's a great one. I hope it's a great experience, but there's lots more, and that's okay. So as long as we give it our all, as long as we feel like we're pouring it out, we can't be disappointed. That said, we have an opportunity to win. So let's take that. Let's take that opportunity and let's go do it. So I guess those would be my two messages. This is not something that is life or death, but it is a wonderful experience and a great opportunity. So we might as well enjoy it and capitalize on it.
All right. Well, those are all the questions I had for you, Coach. Are there any other last comments, shout outs, or anything else you want to say before we conclude?
Yeah, I do. I think just want to give a quick word to the expansion of our sport. So we became an official sport, a sanctioned sport, I believe is 4 years ago now. And we've seen some growth and it trickles up from year to year. And I hope that we can continue to do that. And I think it's sort of incumbent upon the top teams to sort of help support those new teams and bring them along as best we can, whether that's putting them on the schedule or scrimmaging them or offering words of encouragement and help. Because in the end, I want to see our game grow. I mean, that's what I've been doing this for about 20 years, and that's been my goal. Here in the North, it's been a slower trek, but we're doing it. We're moving up. We're getting more and more schools. We're getting more and more club players, and that's been a big help. I'm the director at Phoenix, and we've seen more and more people come in, but people love the game when they start playing it. And I think that's important to promote. It is a joyful, happy game, and the more people who play, the better it's going to be for all of us. So that'll be my parting word. I look forward to seeing you down at Wittenberg.
I also look forward to seeing you, and I wish you guys the best of luck on Friday.
Oh, thanks very much. We can always use luck.
All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Ohio Volley Talk. I'm Tyler Bush, joined here by former host of Ohio Volley Talk, the founder of this channel, Elliott Scully. Thank you for joining us, Elliott.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, it's been a pretty crazy year, especially last weekend. But let's just talk about the year in general. Was there any teams or any storylines that really stuck out to you from this year?
What I really liked about this year is how much freaking parity there is. I mean, D2, we had like 8 teams who could have won it. D1, which, D2, that's somewhat not unheard of, but D1, I think we legitimately had 6 teams that could have won the championship. To me, Elder, Moeller, X, no real surprise there.
Yeah.
Thomas Worthington, Ignatius, and Jerome. And, not in the way of like, oh, if, Jerome just has their best day against X and X, doesn't figure it out, like they won't get it done. No, like all 6 of those guys, everyone at their best had a legitimate shot to reach a championship. So that was really cool. We really don't see that too much. And then as we've seen, like there's been some pretty crazy upsets in the playoffs so far. So
Yeah, out of those 6 teams you mentioned, there's one that just lost, and we'll see another team in the Final Four. I think just last weekend, like you said, Hudson beating Iggy was maybe the biggest shock of the year for me in terms of any games, and in a sweep too. You tell me Hudson wins, I would have been shocked in general, and then you say they win in three, and I mean, I was saw that when I was getting into the car after the ex Moeller game that they had won the first two, and I was shook.
Yeah. I mean, incredible program over there by Larry Meehan. I think especially when we were running the show, like I was always pretty involved in Columbus and Meehan was involved in Cincinnati. So it was tougher for us to really get as much into Cleveland. And then I think Ignatius is the only team that streams. So really it was tough to watch a lot of those matches. But Hudson has done such a great job. I'm only a couple years ago making the state Final Four and giving Mueller a pretty good run when they were winning their third in a row. Obviously, with Jack Reagan sitting the match, right? Like that has to take it down quite a bit. Once I learned that, I was like, okay, like that makes a little bit more sense. Obviously, without Jack Reagan, St. Ignatius is still a fantastic team, but probably not quite the level of state contender. So it throws a little bit of wrench in things as we get into the Final Four.
Yeah, no, I think that it'll be an interesting Final Four. The back to back two different player of the years, Joe Taggart and Jack Reagan. I thought at the start of the year we'd see a rematch of last year's state semifinals probably at state, and neither of them will be there. And I think that'll make this really interesting. There's no de facto, hey, this is the best player at state. I think there are a lot of guys that are willing to play and make themselves known in this Final Four.
Yeah, I remember when we weren't sure if we were coming back or not. I was kind of contemplating like the narrative was being like Jack Reagan versus Joe Taggart at the
Yeah.
state battle, like who's gonna have the better career? Because I thought that's what would happen. And obviously, really unfortunate that Jack got injured. I hope he's okay, and they'll both be teammates at Ohio State, so that'll be cool to see. But yeah, I mean, just awesome that so many other programs are able to step up and get it done.
Yeah, and I mean the Moeller Senex game, I was there and in person for that one. I mean, it was four sets, but that might have been the closest four set match I've ever seen. Just
Yeah,
a matter of points every single set. X was up twice in two sets, 24-22, and they lost both those sets. Had a lot of service errors on their part, and it definitely hurts. Not just as an alum of St. X, but
sure.
to
Yeah,
see, Joe had a killer first set, especially reached 1,000 career kills in that one, but
yeah.
Bowler played a heck of a game. They are looking like a real threat.
Yeah, you could definitely tell in the match. X's game plan was let's get Joe the ball and see what we can do. Generally, when that's like, it's not a bad strategy. Generally, when I look at that though, if they're not winning early sets, it's kind of a problem. That's
Yeah,
kind of what we saw in the semifinal with St. Ignatius last year. It's like Joe's a great player, but he's human, right? As the
yeah,
match goes on, if you're getting 80% of the sets, like it's tough to sustain that. So you kind of get those first two or at least the first one. So Moeller, kind of plays a different style of game, right? Where they don't really have a big guy like Jack Reagan or Joe Taggart to go to. They're pretty balanced, but everyone's good. I think Tyler Wong, right? Been
yeah.
varsity libero for 4 years. He was there on that state championship team as a freshman. He has that hunger to come back, right? And I think really dominant through the middle. I noticed that because I was there to watch them when they played Elder. Yeah, really solid team, but more of an all-around type of deal.
Yeah, no, they got, I mean, like you said, not a tall guy, but watching them in warm-ups, they just are ridiculous athletes. Every single
Oh
one
yeah,
front for them. They get so high up. And, I just pulled up the stats. Joe had 33 kills, and that's ridiculous, but Mueller's just so much more well-balanced. I'm not exactly shocked that they got the win there. The Joe is a blessing to have, of course, but sometimes I feel like there wasn't enough hitting balance on the Saint X team this year. Your second best hitter was Ben Ferris, who's a freshman, and he was stellar as a freshman, but at the end of the day, you don't exactly have that experience under your belt like a
sure.
lot of the guys on Moeller did.
I mean, you got to give him credit though.
Yeah.
I think it was cool that, Mueller won the league, yes, and they were the one seed, yes, but they were not like a runaway favorites. It
No.
was more like 2021-esque because Mueller won the league, Elder swept their way through Centerville, and then St. X, came back and won some key matches at the end to make you think, hey, like they're maybe the best team now. So it was cool that we didn't really know, and it was interesting, like. X was kind of the de facto one seed, right? Because Mueller was the one, and then just Elder went right after them. So it's like, you might as well not be the one seed at that point. It's kind of the 2-3 matchup. But
Yeah, I think maybe the best set of the weekend though came from your alma mater. I mean, a ridiculously high scoring one between Jerome and Worthington, and
yeah,
that rivalry is always there. It's been there since you were a senior, in your final match there, and they've had some good matches this year. And I didn't think it was necessarily going to be a sweep, but Worthington is probably looking like the team to beat right now, headed into the Final Four.
Yeah, especially with St. Ignatius not being in there. I would have said honestly, I thought they were the favorite. I think they had the best path. But with them out, I think Thomas plays a similar style to Moeller, where
Yeah.
they don't have a hitter to point to as the guy, but everybody is really effective. And you look at, I'd say their two best players, Alex Ondo, the setter, and Drew Barnes, libero. If you look at all state voting, Ondo lost best setter in the state to Brady Kelly by one spot. No offense to Brady Kelly, he's a great player, but I think Ondo should have got. Like I think Ondo's the best setter in the state. I watch him play, and to me, it looks like Joe Colwitz, Joey Bianco-esque, to where he's so offensive, he serves well, he could just change the game so much. And Drew Barnes, best libero in the state, at least one of, but according to Allstate, best libero in the state. When that's your base, it's there's so much to work off of on that.
Yeah, I mean that that first to the Final Four matchups that I think that Hudson might have an easier time with Berlin. We might see them in the final. I don't think that many people are shocked that Berlin was going to be there, and I don't think many people think that Berlin might make their way to the final. But that Moeller-Worthington match is going to be a real good one.
To me, that is like OKC Spurs right there,
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main one right there. Whoever comes out of there is probably looking at the best shot.
I remember when St. X won their most recent title. It was the first round, Liberty and St. X, and it was kind
Yeah.
of whoever wins that has to play Ignatius, and they'll probably beat Ignatius. And it went that way, and I got a feeling that it might go the same way this year.
I would think so, yeah. 25-10 in that
Yeah,
Ignatius match, I think something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
That was,
But in D2, I mean, D2 was that the Fenwick Loveland match. I don't know if I've been in person for a better match than that.
really, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was less people there than the Moeller Cinex one, but they were way louder.
Yeah.
That reverse sweep, Fenwick, I thought that they were done for after that first set. Loveland just felt in control, and that second set was closer, but Loveland felt in control there the entire time until maybe like the last 3 points.
Sure.
But then from there, Fenwick played like an entirely different team. I'm not sure what coach said in the huddle, but they played entirely different, and Loveland just kind of was on their heels. Gavin McWaters was kind of running into maybe a little bit of the same problem that Taggart was having, where it's coming to Gavin every time,
Hmm.
and he's a young guy, the only class of 28 member on either division's all state
Sure.
teams,
Yeah.
and he has a bright future ahead of him this year. Just unfortunately, was not their year.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the same thing with Loveland the previous week against McNick, right? Just barn beater, 5 set match. It's awesome to see. Honestly, I think overall in D2, it's maybe a little bit of a down year, which is why there's so much parity. Like overall, the talent level is maybe not quite as good. Obviously, a team like McNick last year is pretty generational.
Yeah,
Like that's tough
yeah.
to top. But the fact that they lost so much and they were able to compete and almost make it back, I think it says maybe just anybody can win. It's cool to see that this year.
Yeah, no, I think that this is probably another case of the semifinal might decide the eventual champ.
I would agree. Yeah, I think so.
Fenwick Charles, I think that realistically coming into this, in my mind, there was only four teams that I would have said had a shot, and it was Fenwick, Loveland, McNick, and Charles, and they were bound to face each other in the semis, and that's going to be another maybe state decider.
Yeah, we say that though. I
Yeah.
thought the same thing 2023 against, when it was DeSales and St. Vincent St. Mary. DeSales was the team all year, and then St. Vincent St. Mary came out and took set one of the championship, gave them a real fight. So who knows? You never know. Sometimes that state atmosphere can get you going.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about sometimes having an easier path.
It's true.
SVSM is not playing in exactly as hard of a region
Hmm.
as Region 8 is. So players are a little more well rested. The winner of Independence SVSM, if that's not a close game, they might be feeling better the next day, or an injury happens, God forbid, and
Right.
this whole thing is flipped on its head.
It's a real factor for sure.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be a fun weekend no matter what. I'm excited to see who comes out on top of all of this. But what have you been up to at Bama, Elliott?
Just graduated, man. I was an accounting major, so my time's done. Volleyball career's over there, but it was a really good experience. Yeah, I mean they give very good academic scholarships, so if anybody scores well on tests, it's a good place to look into. We had 5 guys from Ohio on the team this year, so that was really cool. A couple from Moeller, one from San X, one from St. Charles, so that was very cool. Yeah, I don't know. It was such a great experience. I'm really glad that I went out of state for college. I know a bunch of people at Ohio State kind of said it was like high school part two, which I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not exactly into that, but I don't know. It was really cool. Really great football school, really great volleyball, great education. So I'm really glad I did it. This September, I'll be working for Deloitte as an audit accountant. So that's kind of
Uh-huh.
my plan going forward. But
Congrats.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
exciting.
got a few friends at Bama myself.
Yeah.
They love it down there, and it always seems like a great time. I mean, that football. Yeah, you guys know how to win a national title or two down there.
Well, I got zero in my college career,
Well,
so maybe before my time we did, but we'll see. NIL.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that really shook up the whole thing for you guys, but it's fun that you were still participating in volleyball.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, a lot of Ohio guys in general have had a big impact on the volleyball scene in college already, like
Yeah.
Burks and you as well. That's just nice to see a lot of guys continuing their career.
It's real cool. It's always cool to like see guys that I played against in high school on a random college club team too.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And
Yeah.
I will say, if for guys who maybe don't want the commitment or, like I wasn't really good enough to go play, obviously like D1 or even college, but you know, college club is such a great balance where it's like, you're practicing a few times a week, you go on tournaments with your friends, it's a blast, but it's not like your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think sometimes, for better or for worse, these guys end up kind of having to dedicate their whole college to being an athlete, and kind of being able to balance that was really cool for me. So it was fun.
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, as someone who participates in club sports myself, I think it's a nice relaxing time. But
Yeah,
it's
for
something
sure.
that keeps you active and keeps you involved in something that you hopefully love doing before you
Yeah.
join the club sport. Um, and I'm actually on the Ohio University water polo team with
Nice.
Drew Barnes' older brother.
Oh yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
great.
but no, it's a good time. I'm glad you had a great time at Bama, and I mean, now you got to go to the real world.
Yeah, now I'm a corporate slave, so we'll see. But
I think all we got left is maybe some predictions for this
let's do
weekend.
it.
Who you think is coming out on top of each match, and what you think that championship will look like? Let's start with D1,
Sure.
Hudson and Berlin. Who do you think is coming out on top there?
Yeah. Like I said, hey, love the Hudson program. I think the win over Ignatius is incredible, but with Jack Reagan out, with the player of the year out, it takes some of the merit away from that, right? Berlin's played him a couple times this year. They beat him both times. I think Berlin overall is just the better program. I take them to win 3-0.
I think it's a fair shout. I'd say that Berlin probably does take this one. I think that they win with a little more difficulty, even though Reagan was out. A win over Ignatius has got to be incredibly motivating for Hudson.
For sure.
I think that this one does go to five, but Berlin
Okay.
comes out on top nonetheless.
Be pretty cool to see. Love a
Yeah.
five setter.
I hope that they're all exciting this weekend. I got a feeling this next one will be Moeller, Worthington, the two one seeds coming out of their region. Who do you think tops that one?
Yeah, like I said, I think teams with both very similar styles of play where it's not offense running through one guy, it's just everybody is solid, everybody contributes. I just think that Thomas does it a little bit better than Mueller. I would take Thomas to win in 4 sets.
I think that is, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree completely there. Mueller, very, very good, but what I watched in that regional final, they had a few service errors that really those some of those set wins should have been larger than they were.
Sure.
They seemed like they were almost shying away from the big moment a few times, especially when they were up. It kind of took them being down to really seem motivated. And Worthington is not really a team that you can just slip up and go down and then hope to come
Sure.
back against. So I think that Worthington does take this one. So that would give us both a final, Berlin, Worthington. I think that we both would probably say Worthington takes that one. I'm going to say they take it in three, but maybe you have a different opinion.
No, I would agree. I think Thomas is pretty familiar with Berlin league opponents. They play each other twice a year, have forever. Yeah, I would say if Thomas can get past more, I'd say they take it in three.
Yeah, I think that Worthington is probably the favorites going into this weekend, and I'd love to see some exciting games, but they just without Ignatius, it seems like they don't have a big time opponent. That first round is going to be really what decides it against Mueller, I think.
That would be a huge match. Yes.
But jumping down to D2, Independence, SVSM, I think that personally I was big on SVSM before the season started. I thought they were going to do maybe even a little better, well, a lot better than they did
Yeah.
season. But they're in the Final Four. That's what matters. And against Independence, I think that they walk away with a sweep in this one and make their way back to the final.
I would agree with that. You got to credit Independence. Three of the
Yeah.
4 years that OHSA has been around, they've been in that region. They've come out to the state Final Four, but and a good record. But look at their schedule. It's like anytime they play real competition, can't quite get it done. So I think same with St. Mary in three, get back to another state championship.
And I think the two favorites and the other state semi, Charles and Fenwick. I think that Charles is going to take this one in four. I think that Fenwick is a great team, but a reverse sweep doesn't necessarily just happen because you were playing great. It takes the other team slipping up 3 sets in a row too. And as good as Fenwick is, I think that Charles has been on a tear recently. They've seen Fenwick already. They swept them in their last matchup. I think that Ned Gruber is the coach of the year this year is going to lead him to a state final.
Be very cool to see. Both coaches have been there. Ned
Yeah.
Gruber won a state championship with him back in the day. Tina Gustin won a state championship with him a little more recently. St. Charles, I mean, the CCL challenge is pretty dang good right now because they played
Mhm.
Fenwick and St. Vincent St. Mary. So
Yeah.
that's pretty realistic path for them right now. Well, so you said they did sweep them. It was pretty close though, and it was at home. It was early in the morning.
Yeah.
I could see Fenwick with the playoff energy coming out, and giving more of a challenge. I think it's a 5-set match, but I think St. Charles has the edge. They get back to the state championship in five.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think that no matter the set number, it's going to be a close one
Yes,
each and every set, and it's going to be, in my opinion, that's the match I'm looking forward to most on the weekend.
sure.
But that gives us both a final of SVSM and St. Charles. I got St. Charles in three. Like you said, that CCL challenge, they already saw them in three. And I think that they'll be ready. They've just passed their toughest opponent of the tournament so far, and that'll give them the confidence to really come in and get it done and win another title.
I would agree with that. It's a little unfortunate that we get kind of our biggest matchups in the semifinals,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think St. Charles, if they get past Fenwick, I like them in three.
Yeah, I think that gives both is St. Charles top in D2 and Worthington top in D1. Uh,
Both Cardinals. It'll
yeah,
be,
and maybe people should start changing their mascots, but maybe not who
we'll
people
see.
maybe not who people expected coming into this season. But it's shown up when it matters, and that's what matters, obviously. It's going to be a good weekend. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to watch every match. I'll be there both days, and it'll be an action-packed weekend.
Absolutely. It's a lot of matches to play,
Yeah.
and it might seem like it's clear cut right now, but a lot can happen as
Yeah.
we've seen this past weekend. So really excited to see it.
Yeah, anything can change this weekend. Thank you for joining us, Elliott. I hope you have a great rest of your year and a nice venture into the actual world after college. Congrats on graduating.
I appreciate that. And I just want to say, I was ready to hang it up. Here and I kind of talked about it. We're like, we're both just low on time this year, and it's probably not going to improve. So we were just ready to be done with it. And then, my mom was actually like, you should try to see if, somebody would take it over. I was like, I don't know. I mean, like it's something that's free and like you don't get paid for it. And you have to be so passionate about volleyball. Like it's such a specific skill set. I
Yeah.
don't know who would do it. And then you messaged me and I was like, that's it. That's the skill set I want. So I like it a lot. I think it could be great if it's something where it's like we just keep passing down to guys in
Yeah.
college because it really is a good job to do when you're in college and kind of have a lot of free time. So you guys have done a fantastic job. Couldn't be more proud. Appreciate you continuing the legacy.
I appreciate that. Thank you for, letting Nick and I take it over. It's been a great time so far. I think it's really all come together, especially these last few weeks as we near the end of the season. I'm excited to keep it going for years to come.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.